Let's look at loops. What are loops? Before that, let's talk about an example. Let's say you want to print every number from 1 to 10. Right now, you know how to print anything in Java. You write down system.out.println, and then you might say just print 1. Since 1 is an integer, you see we're not putting 1 inside quotation marks. 1 is an integer, and so you can directly just print 1. And then you would write the same thing again and say 2, the same thing again and say 3, and so you'll write this 10 different times. That is not practical. What if there was a way to write very little code, but then it would print out the integers 1 to 10 all in one go? That is what we can do with loops. With loops, what we can do is we can execute a statement again and again and again based on some conditions. And once those conditions end, the loop ends as well. So let's look at an example, and I hope things would become a bit more clear. So we want to print every number from 1 to 10. For that, what we can do is we can create a for loop. So there are two types of loops. One is called a for loop, another is called a while loop. And we'll look at for loop right now. So how do we write a for loop? This is the beginning of the for loop. At first we write for, and inside the parentheses we define a variable. We define, let's say, a variable named I. And the first value of this variable at the beginning would be 0. Great. Now, this is a statement, and so we type in the semicolon. Great. But after that, in the for loop, we'll write 3 different things, 3 different statements. This is the first one. This is where the value of I starts. It starts at 0 in the for loop. Great. Now, where do we want the value to end? We want to print everything from 1 to 10, right? So instead of 0, actually, let's assign the value of I to be 1. Now, what we want to do is print the integers 1 through 10 continuously, right? So we'll print 1, then 2, then 3, then 4, then 5, then 6, 7, 8, 9, and 10, and at that point, we'll stop printing anything else. So here, I starts from 1, and then we say, do whatever will happen inside this block. There would be a block here. Whatever would happen inside this block, start when I is 1, but keep on going until I becomes greater, until I is less than or equal to 10. So until I is less or equal to 10, keep on going. As soon as this is false, that means if I's value goes to 11, then at that point this becomes false, because 11 is not less than or equal to 10, it is actually greater than 10. So until I is less or equal to 10, keep on going, and increase I by 1 every time. So whenever you write plus plus, that increases the value of the variable by 1. And this is how we define the first part of the for loop. Now, inside the for loop, we will have a print statement only once. Previously, we saw that we had to write print statement 10 times to print every integer from 1 to 10. Here, we'll only need to write it once. So we'll say system.out.println I, just print that. And that's it. Our program is done. And once we run this program, it'll print 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. And we won't have to write this again and again and again 10 different times. So how is this working? At first, the program comes here and it sees that the value of I is 1. At that point, it enters the program once for the first time. It prints out the value of I. What is the value of I at that point? The value of I is 1. So it prints out 1. Then it goes and checks, increases the value of I by 1. Now the value of I is 2. Now it checks this then. At that point it says, is I still less than or equal to 10? The value of I is 2 at this point, right? Because it increased the value just once. So this statement is true. As this statement is true, the program comes here again. And now the value of I is 2. So it prints out 2. At that point, it goes back up here again and increases the value of I. And at that point, the value of I becomes 3. It checks this again. The value of I is 3. Is 3 less than or equal to 10? Yes, 3 is less than or equal to 10. So it comes back here again and prints the value of I. At that point, the value of I is 3. So 3 is printed. So 1 has been printed, 2 has been printed, 3 has been printed. And at that point, it goes back up here again, increases the value of I by 1. The value of I becomes 4. It checks whether or not 4 is less than or equal to 10. This is still true. And since this is still true, it comes back here again and prints the value of I. At that point, the value of I is 4, so it prints 4. And it goes on like that up till it reaches 10. So let's say the value of I is 10 right now. It goes back up here again, the value of I with plus plus, it increases the value of I by 1. So now the value of I has become 11. It comes here, it checks, is 11 less than or equal to 10? Well, 11 is not less than or equal to 10. In fact, 11 is greater than 10. At that point, it does not come here again and exits the code. And that is how a for loop works. So you see, this is a loop because every time we're looping and coming back to this statement, and it is printing out the different values of I in different iterations of the loop. And that is how a for loop works.